Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our live stream Mass. My name is Gabe Schoone, and if you have a minute, I'd like to share with you a little bit about my vocation story. It all starts with how I received the Lord's love in my life, which really led me to here in Seminary at St. Paul's. To start off, as Father Steve was saying in his homily so graciously, how great vocations really originate in the family and how it's strongly encouraged for the parents to do so. And I'm very blessed in this manner. My mom and dad, I look up to them in so many ways as they encouraged me to enter the faith, to really pursue the Lord with all my life. And I look up to them in so many ways, just their relationship with each other and also the ways in which they themselves are pursuing the Lord. From there, I went to St. Alphonsus to really be my first catechized institution. And it really was there that I grew in an affinity for being up on the altar, for cantering and serving Mass. From there, I went to Pine Richland High School, and it was here that, in my high school years, that the Lord really drew me close to His heart. By the end of my high school career, I was leads in the musicals, captain of the soccer team, was voted Sadie's King for my high school, and so high school was really good to me. But another way in which I could describe high school is saying that everybody liked me, but nobody actually knew me. And what I mean by that is there's two instances, particularly in high school, I'd like to share with you in which I received the Lord's love. One being from that comment I just said earlier, my junior fall, going into high school. The best friends that I had made in my elementary grade school over at St. Alphonsus, I continued to try to keep up with them here in high school, but they went to a different high school, and so it was a bit more difficult. And that time was very difficult for me in a particular way my junior year because my best friend went into a different friend group over at his other high school, and that really created a lot of distance between us. Not only the physical distance, but in a particular way, I saw the actions that were being taken place in that friend group, and it wasn't necessarily something that I was supporting, and so it was hard for me because I saw that they were distancing themselves not only from the Lord, but maybe in a much more selfish way, is I was being distant from Him. I was doing my best to love Him the best that I could, but that love really wasn't being reciprocated, which was very hard in my heart. For me to go to Pine Richland, my mom and dad were saying that I would have still had to stay in the church and be catechized in that way, so I went to St. Richard, just where I'm from, my parish. Grew in a great relationship with the youth ministers there, Don Ruby and Taylor. But what they have there is really a great program. There was a fall retreat that took place that junior year whenever my heart was very hard. And my best friend came on that retreat with me. And there's an adoration hour on Saturday. And it's a very powerful moment in a particular way. This was very powerful for me. My prayer that weekend and my prayer during adoration was really, I desired for the Lord to allow me to love my friend. I desired that my friend would love the Lord with the same zeal that I tried to do so. And more importantly, I desired that the Lord would love me. This was a very difficult moment in my life in which I stated earlier. And because of all the friends that I had, because everyone liked me, I didn't feel like anyone actually really knew me. And for you to love someone, you have to know them. And this is what the desire of my heart was, and the Lord heard my cry in this adoration hour. I pictured Him as I'm sitting in the second pew. He's up there on the altar, and He came down from the altar, came up to me, embraced me, and just said, "Gabriel, I love you. Gabriel, I love you." And He just kept repeating that this whole hour. And it was from that moment that really my life was transformed, because I recognized that it wasn't just me pursuing the Lord, but that He's actively pursuing me. And it's stated all the time in which it's good for you to be grown up in the faith, but you need to make it your own. And it was at that moment in my life, whenever I said, I want to pursue the Lord, that He is pursuing me. And so I continued to go to youth group just with a different mentality. I woke up before the crack of dawn and tried to pray. I was reading through the Gospels more of a study guide rather than actually growing in a relationship. But I was doing the best that I could to learn about our Lord. That's the first instance. And the second instance takes place later that year in the spring. And as all good Catholic mothers would, there was a Life in the Spirit seminar taking place at my parish, and my mom said, "All right, everyone, we're going." And I said, "Great, I don't have a choice." So we went to the Life in the Spirit seminar. It was a 4-week session that was taking place with Father Joe Freedy and Dave Van Vickel. And at the end of this session, they would pray over us and baptize with the Spirit, really just to set us on fire and instill those gifts from the Spirit. So we get to that 4 weeks, the last Tuesday. I go to be prayed over, and it was a beautiful experience, just a great peace that I received from the Lord. But whenever I went back to my pew, I felt like I just missed something, like just something just didn't go the way in which it was supposed to. We go back the following Tuesday, and this is just like a recap session of like, hey, this is what happened, and we want to send you forth into the world to be that light for the nations that we are talking about today as well. But there was something that Father Joe said at the very end of that session that really pierced my heart. He said, if you were not here last Tuesday and you'd still be like to be prayed over, we're going to be staying after for a few minutes. And that really pierced my heart. And every other Tuesday, our discipleship group at St. Richard would meet. Like a few of the high school students with Don Ruby would go down to the basement of the church and just discuss a little bit more in a personal way of how the Lord is affecting your life. So we go down there, and I text Don as he's in the corner. Someone's giving a little talk. I say, like, hey, do you think they're still praying over someone? And he said, sure. Do you need to go up? And I said, yes. So I ran out the room, and I go upstairs to be prayed over again. And to give you a little instance of how I was feeling is, if you've ever, like, before you've gone on a roller coaster or like do something like really exciting, like you get like butterflies in your stomach, you get really nervous. That's exactly how I felt. However, whenever I went up in line, I was third in line. At this point, I wanted to throw up. Like, I did not want to go through with this. And looking back, I have to laugh because I knew the Lord was going to do something just transformative in my life. And that's exactly what happened. So I'm prayed over, really felt the presence of the Spirit upon me. Like I stated earlier, that first story, I knew that the Lord was present. He was just loving me so well. After I start walking away, I kind of like fall in a pew, like I was just encapsulated with the Spirit of the Lord. And I just needed to get on my knees and pray right then and there. And as soon as I got on my knees, as soon as my knees hit the kneeler, I heard this voice that said, "Gabriel, I want you to lead my church." And I knew that was not my voice, because at that time in my life, I had a wonderful girlfriend. I knew what I wanted to go to college for. I wanted to go into medicine and help people in that way. And never once did I consider priesthood an option. Now, I teased the idea, like, well, maybe he meant like being a deacon and ministering in that way, or becoming a father and raising children in the church. But every single time I tried to compensate, the Lord was always very stern to say, no, you know what I want. And he was right, I did. Now, I can't say for sure whether or not I'm going to make it to priesthood through that one instance, as I'm continually discerning what the Lord's will is in my life, and I ask you to continue to pray for me and my brother seminarians along with that. But it was at that moment that I recognized that there's something more to this, that the Lord is loving me, that he's chosen me a specific way, that he's chosen each and every one of us. And so I finally, like after months of discernment with this, I said, okay, Lord, I'm going to pursue this. I'm going to try to see what you have planned for me. And so from that moment, I graduated from high school. I went to Franciscan University to study philosophy and theology with the intention of eventually entering seminary. And after 3 years of discernment, this was the year that I discerned that the Lord wanted me to do so. And I'm so thankful that that is what happened, because I've never been loved more in my life than I have been here at seminary, not only by the fraternity here, by the faculty, but in a much more real sense by the Lord, who has just been loving me in so many amazing ways. I do not want to be anywhere else. I can't imagine myself being anywhere else, because the joy and love that I receive from in here is really just supernatural, to say the least. So thank you so much for listening to my vocation story. Know that I'm praying for all of you, as I ask for you guys to continue to pray for me, to receive the Lord's love continually, and know that he wants that same love for all of you. Thank you very much.